How's it going? Good. I'm going to start these talks off with something that also might be about games. I'm a designer at Naughty Dog, so I know a little bit about talking about story. I don't know if I actually know anything, so I wanted to share some of the things that I've deluded myself into believing that I know. So, we're going to talk about, the unmatched power of being wrong. So, being wrong is this deeply human thing where we don't really know much of what's going on at any time for any reason. And it's the main thing that makes stories work. And I mean, most stories. I don't care if we're talking about some legal drama, some space cartoons, or an avant-garde indie film. You just don't know what's going on, and that's why we watch stories. So, we want this. This guy has no idea what he's seeing. How do we get here? So, it's pretty easy to break down and really hard to do. So, the first step is you let the audience build a mental model. It's basically just how they imagine the world works, what they understand about it, and the things they believe based on that understanding. That can be anything from how a character will behave, or the laws of physics, or just that, things won't suddenly explode. Basic assumptions. Breaking them is the next step. But these basic assumptions are just kind of a deeply human thing that we like to form. We like thinking, we like seeing, we like figuring shit out, just like being alive. So from there, we need to break them and then put it back together. Because when you let somebody see something that just completely fucks with their perception of reality, but then they can figure out how it all can still make sense, you get this. So example time. And just like any other hack that tells you about story, I'm gonna talk about Star Wars. So Star Wars is this massive fucking thing that nobody can ever shut up about, mainly because it gets you to be very wrong in a very intense way in the first movie. So you start out in this film and it's sci-fi as fuck. There are exotic worlds, there are aliens, fucking robots. It's a deeply technological society. You expect it to be, it's like us, but in the future. Great, I kind of get it. It's rational. If I push a thing with my hand, it'll move. Except there's this old guy who just comes on and is like, nah, man, stuff's weird. And nobody really believes him at first, but he's 100% just rambling by the end that he's just a space wizard. And he just kind of sometimes levitates stuff, and nobody really buys it. There's this really cool guy who's seen shit and just completely dismisses him entirely. And the movie just keeps going on as if he's just kind of this rambly old dude who the naive kid just listens to because stories are good. They go on an adventure. He gets fucking killed because of the space magic belief. Doesn't really seem to be holding up. But then, as you know, the big climax happens. The kid flies into the Death Star, and in the middle of all of that, uses the space magic to blow it up. Your reality's fucked at that point. You're just doing this. Everything is different. Nothing makes sense anymore in the way it used to. And that is what launched a fucking franchise. Because nothing beats that space magic is real. Look, we can look at the other movies, and yeah, this guy's secretly his dad. That's an amazing moment. That gets that reaction. Go to the next movie after that. Big evil dude kills even bigger evil dude. That's pretty great. But I don't think we talk enough about just how that first big turn hit everyone. Can they go any cooler than space magic? Probably not. That's why the sequels and the prequels and everything else are just never really gonna live up to it, and I'm not even a Star Wars fan. But yeah, so as we can see, this is an obvious beaten into the ground example. So let's look at some more stuff. Ordinary People does this. This is a deep character drama where you're wrong about a mother's love actually being there for her son. It's some dark shit. You can also see it in Bloodborne, where, thinking that stuff is normal and fine and not an eldritch nightmare really doesn't hold up very often. But it also matters in things like Dwarf Fortress or other complex games, because when you play a game that's really stupidly over the top complex, you do not know what's going on. You will make assumptions, you will need to learn, you'll need to adapt, and that still gives us that same basic fundamental of being wrong and then working it into our understanding of the world. So, I want to talk about one of my favorite games. This has all been an excuse to talk about this. Not even kidding. So this is Cyberpunk Bartending Action Valhalla. It came out in like 2016. Oh god, don't do that. And it's this lo-fi indie game from Argentina that is about a bartender in an insane Blade Runner city living a stupidly mundane life around crazy shit. So this is Jill. She works in this city as a bartender. You know, she actually enjoys her job, but it really is just making rent. She just listens to weird people ramble on about their problems and then goes home and sleeps. You know, really straightforward. The UI is pretty simple. It's great. There's not really that many interactions, but you get to know people. But the thing I want to talk about is just how weird the world is. Like, this is your coworker. He's amazing. And like, this guy can just show up. Whatever. This world's just great and wonderful and weird, and it grounds it all in like this sense of being a person. Like when you go home, Jill will like want a random thing like a poster or a game console, and unless you buy it for her, she'll be distracted the next day. You know, we've all just wanted those impulse buys or those random little things. So you get this like sense of character. On top of that, she also has a talking cat roommate named Four, who's really snarky and like teases her incessantly. Like if you read that, she's just like, hey, can I get some alone time? Use the bathroom. But on top of all of that, Jill's also, you know, she has desires and wants. Like she's not the most subtle girl. She has a lock screen like this with a boss that she has a crush on, which, you know, poor girl. You know, she's just got it real bad. But as the game progresses, you play for a couple hours. You just go through this cycle of listening to people's problems, going home, getting snarked at by your cat roommate, and it's great, it's wonderful. But the thing I want to focus on is a moment that happens a little later in the game where Jill actually makes a connection with her boss. Like they go back to Jill's apartment and like start sharing a moment, and in the middle of that, the cat walks up and just like says a snarky comment, and all of a sudden, Dana, the boss, just turns going like, Jill, what did you just say? As Jill goes flush red, realizing that she just let it slip that she invented a voice for her cat. Her cat is a normal-ass cat? And the game did not let you know that until this moment where she is in front of the person she has been obsessing over for hours. And now she looks like this crazy loner. And in that moment, you're just like this. Like, I lost it. I was falling over laughing because like, I just accepted this because the world led me to believe that, yeah, of course, she has a talking cat. Big whoop. Not a brain in a jar. I've seen cooler. Like, at least my Shiba coworker has a job. But with this turn, on top of it me being wrong, the process of filling in the blanks informs who Jill is as a person. Like, it demonstrates her need for companionship. The fact that this person you've been spending time with is a bit lonelier than you thought they were. And that's what like makes the story connect. It makes it hit. I'm surprised. I'm piecing it all together, and I come away with a better understanding of this person. So yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't need space magic to do this story fundamental. It's really just about setting somebody up to expect something and then fucking with them. And I really like doing that. Oh, and then also on top of that, it leads into like one of my favorite moments in games, because yeah, I'm just gonna drop the mask and just want to talk about this game for a second. Because you guys then just go out onto the balcony and then like embarrassingly talk to each other, but there's a drink button where you can just pound beers. And depending on how many times you hit that button, she says more embarrassing things. It's phenomenal. All of you need to play this game. But yeah, let's just recap, because I don't want to hold you here forever. So to do this, all we need to do is get the people playing your game or watching your movie to build a mental model, make assumptions, show them a brain in a jar, they think they know what's up, and then break it. Just send them into some crazy other dimension. Let them figure it out. Because when they figure it out, they'll thank you for it. Doesn't even matter if it's romantic comedy either. Keanu's just always great for anything. But anyway, everybody, I've been Evan Hill, and thanks for listening.